UFC Fight Night, Brandon Moreno versus Amir Albazi takes place this Saturday night. I'm going to take you through the entire card from start to finish, make a prediction and breakdown for every fight so you, a casual, can understand what's going on and don't miss a thing this weekend. Stick with me. Hey everybody, this fight card starts with Jamie Lynn Horth versus Ivana Petrovic. Jamie Lynn Horth is a minus 205 favorite. I don't think for a good reason. I'm going to take Ivana Petrovic in this fight, and I'm going to tell you why. Jamie Lynn Horth is coming off of her first loss in her MMA career. You might think that puts a chip on her shoulder, but I will tell you Ivana Petrovic also only has one loss. She's 7-1. She's German. Jamie Lynn Horth is Canadian, and we know how Canadians are in the UFC. You know what I'm saying? Jamie Lynn has a 3-inch reach disadvantage, and let's look at her last fight. Her last fight is a loss to nobody, basically, to be completely honest with you. It's a loss to Veronica Hardy. Actually, she's not nobody. Veronica Hardy's pretty good. She was the underdog going into this fight, and she won by split decision, probably a decision that Jamie Lynn could have won because she did outstrike her. But that's not to say that I'm going to pick Jamie. I'm still going with Ivana Petrovic, and I'm going to tell you why. Her last name ends in VIC, and that's all there is to it. She's Croatian, so you know she's from over there. And I think she's going to get this one done. So, next fight, Chad Anheliger versus Cody Gibson. I'm going to take Cody Gibson. He's a pretty heavy favorite. But also, I don't know. He put on a banger against Brad Katona back in the day. And I don't know. I just think he's decent. He looks like his last fight in July didn't happen. I don't remember that. It either didn't happen or he... You know what? Never mind. I'm going to go with Chad. And I'm going to tell you why. Because Chad might actually win once in a while. You know what I mean? He just had a win against Gregorio. He lost to Jose Johnson. But, yeah, he's coming off a win. So, that's good. Against a decent comp in Charalampos Gregorio. Who, I mean, he lost his last fight. But that doesn't matter. That's neither here nor there. Yeah, I don't know. He's all right. He's not great, but 8-5 isn't the worst. It's kind of a toss-up between these two guys. I don't think either of them are very good. I don't think either of them are going to go far. But next fight, Sirhi City versus Garrett Armfield. I'm going to pick Sirhi City by KO in this one. I don't really know why. I just feel it. It just feels right. Sirhi City, I just think, is better than Garrett Armfield. I don't think Garrett Armfield is very good. Garrett Armfield lost his last fight against Brady Highstand, and then beat Brad Katona in the fight before that. So, I mean, I don't know. I just don't think he's great. If you can't beat Brad Katona, like, get out of here. Sort of thing. Next fight is some Fat Boys. We got the Fat Boys out. 270,000-pound Alexander Romanov versus 265,000-pound Rodrigo Nascimento. I'm going to take Romanov via what I like to call, you might be familiar with it, wrestle fuck. So it's basically where a fat guy who can wrestle and averages, 4 takedowns a fight, gets a hold of another fat guy who can't get up when there's nobody. Yeah, 3.4, excuse me, nope, that's not it. 4.17 takedown averages per 15 minutes. So yeah, I think that Romanov is probably just going to lay on top of Nascimento, who I think was originally scheduled to fight Derek Lewis, if I'm not mistaken. Who Derek Lewis is fighting higher on the card. But Nascimento's is he's 8-0, all via KO, but I think that's probably just because he hasn't fought a guy like Alexander Romanov, who just wants to lay on top of you. Oh, no, he did fight Derek Lewis. He fought him in May. That's weird. I thought he was 8-0. No, he's 11-2. I'm thinking of someone different. I'm thinking of Derek Lewis's actual matchup, which is Janata Dinez. Anyway, no, he did fight Derek Lewis and lost. So, you know, I mean, you lose to Derek Lewis, that's all right. But I think Alexander Romanov's probably going to beat him. Next up, Jack Shore versus Yusuf Zalal. I'm going to take Yusuf Zalal in this one, and I'm taking him strict. I mean, he's a pretty heavy favorite. I think it's not a controversial opinion by any means, but I do think what he did, not to Ilia Topuria, but what he didn't allow Ilia Topuria to do to him, tells me that I should probably pick him in this fight. I don't think Jack Shore will be able to hurt him at all. Ilia Topuria couldn't put him away in 3 rounds, and Max got knocked out in the 3rd round. So, yeah, I'm going to go with Yusuf Zalal. I think he's actually decent. I think he's actually decent. Like, I'm not going to go ahead and say he's going to, like, rise to the top. Like, he's not the cream of the crop or anything, but I don't know. I think he's going to win, and I think he's going to win by KO. Jack Shore is 17-2, but he lost his last fight via, I believe it was, doctor stoppage. That's right. So, I mean, I could see it. I could see him winning, but I don't think he's going to. I think Yusuf Zalal is going to take it. Next, Victor Henry versus Charles Jourdain. Charles Jourdain is a small favorite. He lost his last fight to Gene Silva, and so on principle alone, I can't pick him. I'm going to pick Victor Henry, who actually won his last fight against Rani Yahya. So that's cool. I don't know what happened in the Basharat fight, but I don't know. I guess it didn't happen, or it was a no contest. Next up, Ariane Da Silva versus Jasmine Jasudavicius. I'm going to take Jasmine Jasudavicius by the same method as I took Romanov, which is wrestle fuck.
I'm not quite sure how to help you with that.
Alexa just started yelling at me a second ago, so don't know what's up with that. Sorry about that. So if I picked up in a weird spot, my bad. But next fight is Ariane Da Silva versus Jasmine Jasudavicius. I'm going to take Jasmine Jasudavicius by the same method that I just took Alexander Romanov, which is wrestle fuck. Jasmine Jasudavicius averages, I think, a couple takedowns. I don't know if she averages a couple takedowns a fight or if she has a couple takedowns, actually, now that I think about it. Let's see. 2.3 takedowns average per 15 minutes. So I think she's probably just going to lay on top of her, which is, it could stay on the feet. Maybe it will. Maybe it should. But Ariane Da Silva is 17-9. So I'm going to take Jasmine Jasudavicius I'm just going to take her via plain old UD, actually, as opposed to WrestleFuck, because I don't want to ruin the pick just because she stood up on the feet and whooped her ass. Next fight, Firas Zahabi's little brother versus Pedro Munoz. I'm going to take the Zahabi. I'm going to take him via TKO, and I'm going to tell you why. I'm talking a lot about last fight in this, so I'm talking about last fight was a win versus last fight was a loss. It really only matters for Pedro Munoz, though, and that's why I'm so focused on it, because he made Kyler Phillips look good. And I didn't really think about it until I got looking at this fight, and I remember like all the stuff with Kyler Phillips being super hyped after the fight. He also lost to Cheeto in the fight before that, and then beat Chris Gutierrez in the fight before that, but that's not that big a deal. He made Kyler Phillips, who just got made to look like a Make-A-Wish kid by Rob Font, look like he was on another level. So I'm going to take Zahabi. I think the game plan is going to be there, because his brother is Firas, who is, I don't know if you're familiar with this guy. He did coach somebody. What was his name? George St. Pierre, I believe was his name. I don't know if you've heard of him. Anyway, next fight, first fight on the main card, Mike Mallet versus Trevin Giles. So I'm going to do this again, where I've ruined a pick because I'm picking on principle. And it's that Mike Mallet, whatever you want to call it, I don't know how it's pronounced, is not very good. And even though he's a pretty heavy favorite, he got his ass whipped by Neil Magny because he completely blew himself up in the last minute of his fight with Neil Magny. Yeah, 3 minute, third round, 4:45 in to the third round, got TKO'd by Neil Magny, which is just insane. He just blew up in the last minute of the fight after dominating the whole thing. So I wouldn't count out that happening again. I'm not going to say it is going to happen again, but I wouldn't count it out. So my pick for that is Mike is going to lose. I'm going to pick Trevin Giles. Next fight, Marc-Andre Barrieu versus Dustin Stoltzfus. I'm going to take Marc-Andre Barrieu. I just think he's better. I'm going to take him via decision. I'm going to take Giles via TKO, by the way, because I think Mike Mallett's probably just going to gas himself out again. I'm going to take Marc-Andre Barrieu by decision. I just think he's better. He's a pretty heavy favorite. He did lose just recently in June to Joe Pyfer via minute and a half into the fight, knockout, and then lost a split decision to Chris Curtis. But that was close. He could have probably won that fight. But he's been on a little bit of a skid, but I don't know. I just think he's better. Like, if you look at the comp, like, he lost in September of 22 to Anthony Hernandez, who, like, just fucking embarrassed Michelle Pajeda for, like, the whole fight. So that was pretty embarrassing. They stopped it out of pity. It was really, honestly, kind of sad. Yeah, I don't know. It's a tough pick because I don't think Marc-Andre Barrieu is that good, but I think he's better than Dustin Stoltzfus. So I'm going to take Marc-Andre Barrieu by decision. Kyle Machado versus Brenson Ribeiro. I'm going to take Machado by decision, just on the principle that I think Machado's a little bit better. I don't know. He's outreached, but I don't know. I just think it's hard. It's hard to pick in some of these fights, and I'm having a hard time. I'm trying to help you guys. I wasn't gonna make this video, but I need the casuals out there to be able to see what's up. So I'm gonna take Kyle Machado by decision, just simply because I don't think he's gonna lose by KO. And I definitely don't think he's going to win by KO. I was going to say, he has 2 fights in the UFC, but a loss to Shane Parkin and a loss to Dontel Mays. It's a fucking toss-up, man. What weight class was that fight at? Was that at 265? No. It can't be, right? Wow, that fight was a heavyweight. Why would you fight at heavyweight? Whatever. He's not a heavyweight at all, but his 2 losses are to heavyweights, so good for him for going on a diet. Unlike the next guy, Derek Lewis, who's fighting Jonata Diniz. Jonata Diniz, I'm going to tell you right now, I think he TKOs Derek Lewis. He's 8-0 with 7 wins by knockouts and 6 first-round finishes. I don't know. I think he only has 2 fights in the UFC, to be fair, against Austin Lane and Carl Williams. Neither great comp, but he's got something. I mean, he's got 7 knockouts, 8 wins, 6 first-round finishes. I don't know. I think Derek Lewis is, what is he, 39? Derek Lewis is 39. He's 39, guys. He might have got his last win. You know what I mean? Although I probably would have said that, and did probably say that same thing back in 22 when he lost to Tuivasa, Pavlovich, and Spivak back to back, and then he fought Marcos Rogerio de Lima and beat him 33 seconds into the fight via TKO. I think that was that a flying knee? I think it's what, a flying knee. And then he lost against Almeida in a main event. Or was it a main event or a co-main? I think it was a Fight Night main event. And then beat Nascimento via TKO in the 3rd round. He didn't gas himself out in that fight. Probably going to gas himself out in this one. I think Jonata Diniz takes this one. I don't know. I just do. I have a bad feeling. I'm a Derek Lewis guy, you know. His balls was hot and everything, but I don't think he's going to win this one. I just don't. Next fight, co-main event. Erin Blanchfield versus Rose Namajunas. I'm going to take Rose Namajunas in this fight because I think that she isn't going to let Erin Blanchfield lay on top of her. We saw in Rose's fight against Fiorot. No, it wasn't Fiorot. It was Ribas. Amanda Ribas. That she didn't let her try to lay on top of her even though she tried, you know. To be fair, she's like 2 for 37 on takedowns in the UFC or something. Is that accurate? Holy fuck. That can't be right. Yeah, I just think she's going to neutralize the grappling, and she's better on the feet. I mean, we watched her beat the shit out of Tracy Cortez. Sad day, you know. She cut her hair for that. But, I mean, Rose cut her hair like 10 years ago for that, so, like, whatever. Yeah, Rose Namajunas. I'm going to take her via probably unanimous decision. I just think that's how it's going to go. All right. Last fight, main event, Brandon Moreno versus Amir Albazi. I think people are sleeping on Brandon Moreno. I don't say that because the odds say that. I say that because people think they're smarter than the odds. And so what I mean by that is people think that Brandon Moreno is going to lose because he's Brandon Moreno and he's lost a lot in the last couple of years, more so than we remembered, like when he was champ, right? Like he beat Figgy and that, you know, like that was big. So, but he lost to Pantoja. And then he lost to Royval. That's what I mean. That's what I mean. He lost the title to Pantoja, and then he lost to Royval. But to be fair, Royval just made Tatsuro Taira look like a fool. I have a video about that. Go ahead and watch it if you feel like it. And yeah, he looked really good for a long time though. He beat Figgy, lost to Figgy, beat Kaikara France, then beat Figgy, then lost to Pantoja and Royval. I think he's going to get back on the train here. Amir Albazi's taken some time off. He hasn't fought since June of 23 when he beat Kaikara France also. But he was pretty severely hurt, which I didn't realize. I found out this morning that he had apparently almost been paralyzed. That's cool though. Good for him. I think he's going to have a good performance, and I think people are going to look back on it like with, you know, he has some potential to make a run, but I don't know. I think his career was derailed by that injury. And I think that he probably is going to have so much rust from being like a year and a half out of the cage that Brandon Moreno takes the first 2 rounds, and then he kind of works his way into it in the third. Moreno kind of sneaks out the fourth barely. It's like a questionable round. It might be a split decision. And then the fifth goes to Albazi also. He probably ends the fight on top or some shit, like almost as a choke in, and everybody's gonna say he should have won the fight because he almost had a choke in at the end of the fight. And if it was on the street, well, it's not on the street, so shut the fuck up. But so that's my predictions for that card. I'm gonna do a sort of recap of this either Saturday night or Sunday. Probably Sunday is when it'll come out. Yeah, so I'm going to do a recap at that point, kind of go through what happened. I'm going to recap my predictions, see how many I got right. I'm going to be keeping track throughout the card. And thanks for watching. If you want to see any of my other predictions, I'll have some videos here. I'll have some breakdowns here. I have a video about how Ilia Topuria might already be the GOAT. And then, since we're talking about Brandon Moreno and Amir Albazi, and Amir Albazi is, how old is he? He is 31, and Brandon Moreno, honestly, probably isn't that much older than that. He's actually 30. So, I thought he was older than that. He's 30. That's crazy. People are talking about Moreno like he's washed. That's nuts. All right. The perfect example. Brandon Moreno is going to take this one over the older fighter. And I think that you should watch my video about how the golden era of the UFC just ended. It'll be in one of these boxes down here. So take a watch and have a good night. Peace.